If you've ever joined a furry Discord server or attended a convention, you've probably noticed how quickly people welcome you in. You can show up as a complete stranger, and within minutes you've got people offering to be your friend, inviting you to group chats, and treating you like you've been part of the community for years. It's this immediate acceptance that makes the furry fandom feel so welcoming, but it also raises a pretty important question. Are furries too trusting for their own good? I wanted to look into this because understanding the balance between creating a welcoming space and protecting community members from bad actors is something that affects everyone in the fandom, whether you're a longtime furry or someone just discovering what it's all about. So before we dive into the specific dangers and benefits of this trust-heavy culture, if you want to call it that, let me start by breaking down what makes the furry fandom's approach to trust so unique compared to other communities. The furry fandom operates on what some call radical acceptance, a culture where you can essentially be whatever you want and nobody will judge you. Around 80% of furries identify as non-heterosexual, and about 15% have autism, compared to just 1 to 2% of the general population, making this fundamentally a community built by and for outcasts who felt rejected elsewhere. What drives this acceptance is shared experience. Many furries joined specifically because they felt misunderstood or excluded from other spaces, creating this philosophy of no one has accepted me for who I am, but these people will. There's no membership card, no initiation, and no prerequisites whatsoever. If you want to be part of the fandom, you are, which is genuinely beautiful, but also means there are basically no barriers preventing bad actors from entering. The fandom's loose structure reinforces this trust culture too. According to some posts I've read, even if you feel distant from the fandom for years, whenever you choose to re-engage, it feels like you've always been a part of it, provided that you wish to be. This openness creates incredible belonging, but also means people default to trusting newcomers instantly, rather than letting trust develop naturally over time. When you create a culture of radical acceptance with minimal gatekeeping, absolutely take advantage of that vulnerability. Safety guides created for furries online specifically warn about patterns where first form friendships to establish trust, often targeting younger members or fans who they feel they can have power over. And the more isolated the victim, the easier they are to control. Someone could hypothetically join a Discord server, claim they're going through a tough time, and within days have multiple furries treating them like a close friend, sharing personal information, offering emotional support, and lowering their guard completely. This speed of trust building, whilst emotionally fulfilling for people who desperately need connection, creates vulnerabilities that manipulative people exploit by gradually pushing boundaries and testing what people will tolerate. And unfortunately, they aren't the only ones who exploit this trust culture. The fandom's reputation for being wealthy, combined with its emphasis on supporting struggling community members, creates perfect conditions for commission scams, emergency commission cycles, and sob stories where people give the benefit of the doubt, accept delays without proof, or send money based on claimed emergencies because the default assumption is that furries help each other out. But what makes this trust issue particularly complicated is how the furry fandom operates primarily online, where traditional social cues don't apply, and you can't see somebody's body language or verify their real age or identity. Yet, furries treat online friendships with the same level of trust they'd give to someone they've known in person for years, sharing incredibly personal information, real names, locations, schools they attend, family situations, mental health struggles, and so much more with people they've never actually met. There's also this pattern where furries will vouch for each other based on superficial indicators, like having a well-drawn persona, being active in the community, or knowing popular artists, and suddenly they're considered trustworthy. But having a nice character design or being good at socializing online doesn't actually tell you anything about someone's intentions or whether they're safe to be around, especially when anonymity means there's limited accountability. If someone gets called out for harmful behavior, they can just delete their account, create a new persona, and re-enter the community under a different name with basically no questions asked, because people don't want to seem suspicious or exclusionary. The trust culture means they'll likely be welcomed back in, which removes any real incentive to change problematic behavior or face consequences for past actions. However, before this sounds entirely negative, there are genuinely incredible benefits to how accepting and trusting the community is. Some research done in the past shows that being part of a supportive community reduces isolation, decreases anxiety and depression, and helps people feel like they belong, which is particularly important for marginalized groups who experience exclusion elsewhere. The furry fandom's trust culture has literally saved lives, with people who were or struggling with their identity, finding the community and finally feeling accepted for who they are. This trust enables incredible creativity and collaboration too. Artists can share work without fear of judgment, people can explore different aspects of their identity through their personas, and community projects happen because people trust each other enough to work together. The lack of gatekeeping means talented people who might not fit into other creative communities can thrive in furry spaces, contributing art, stories, music, and innovations that wouldn't exist if the community was more restrictive. For neurodivergent furries especially, the trust culture creates a space for them to be themselves without masking. They can stim, infodump about their special interests, and express enthusiasm without being shut down or ridiculed, which significantly improves quality of life for people who spend most of their time in environments where they have to hide who they are. The emphasis on mutual support creates real material benefits too, with the community rallying around people who have genuine emergencies to crowdfund medical bills or provide emotional support during crisis. So to be honest, the real question isn't whether furries are too trusting, but how to maintain the positive aspects of that trust culture while protecting people from harm. One approach is what people call trust but verify, where you're welcoming and accepting, but still do basic safety checks before sharing personal information or meeting someone in person. This means checking how long someone's been in the community, whether they have mutual friends who can vouch for them, if their story stays consistent over time, and most importantly, trusting your instincts when something feels off. Convention organizers and server moderators have a huge role here, implementing clear codes of conduct, having systems for reporting concerning behavior, and most importantly, actually enforcing consequences when someone violates community standards, rather than sweeping issues under the rug because nobody wants to be seen as causing drama. Education is also crucial, teaching newer furries, especially minors, about what looks like, how to recognize red flags, and when it's appropriate to say no or ask for help. Ultimately, the goal should be maintaining the furry fandom's incredible culture of acceptance, whilst still holding people accountable when they hurt others. In fact, protecting vulnerable community members is part of what acceptance should mean, because creating safe spaces requires both openness and boundaries working together. So, after looking into all of this, I think the answer to are furries too trusting is kind of, but not in a way that means we should abandon what makes this community special. The trust and immediate acceptance that the furry fandom offers genuinely improves people's lives and creates a space where marginalized people can finally feel like they belong, which has value that shouldn't be dismissed just because bad actors sometimes exploit it. The problem isn't the trust itself, it's the lack of accompanying safety education and accountability systems that would help people navigate trust more wisely. When trust operates in a vacuum without any framework for recognizing and addressing harmful behavior, that's when people get hurt. But when trust is paired with awareness, clear boundaries, and community accountability, it creates one of the most supportive and transformative spaces on the internet. Anyway, the real challenge is teaching people, especially younger furries, that you can be welcoming and accepting whilst still protecting protecting yourself and others, because trust should be earned gradually rather than given instantly to everyone who claims to be a part of the community. I'd love to know what you think about this balance in the comment section below, or you can start a conversation on my Discord server at dsc.gg/skikes. And with that, I hope you all have a fantastic day.